This is Jack Donovan, author of The Way of Men, and you're listening to Start the World.
All right, my guest today is Jon Fitch. He is a professional American mixed martial artist who has fought in Bellator and the UFC, as well as being the former PFL Welterweight Champion. I got to meet him last year at the 21 convention where I was a speaker, and he came just to check it out and see what men were talking about. So, Jon, thanks for coming on the show.
No, thanks for having me.
Cool. So I'm just going to open with some reader questions because this one came from a guy that I actually know, and he's a good friend of mine. And he said, if you were to punch coronavirus in the face, would you use a Superman punch for a knockout blow, or would you wear him out with some jab and cross combos?
You probably want to go for the quick kill.
Yeah.
It tends to spread quickly, so get it out of there.
All right, good answer. With a good solution for stopping the coronavirus. Cool. All right, and I also thought this was kind of relevant. Someone asked, how do you stay calm when you're preparing for a fight?
How do you stay calm any day for any reason?
Exactly, which is why it's kind of a good question.
You have to understand. I mean, in the last few years, I've really come to embrace the idea of just the preposterousness of existence. The fact that we live in the world we live in today, how we got here. We're naked apes, flying through space. That we're riding on matter that came from an explosion, and we're covered on like a burning ember, covered in land and water, and you're worried about your day to day. Oh, like now I'm going to go fight in a cage. Like, it's all ridiculous. It's all insane. So just being able to focus on the things you can control, because everything around you is out of control. Like, you can't control us flying through space. You can't control when that ends. It's hopeless. So you have to just focus on the small things that you can't control, and you can control what you eat every day. You can't control the cardio you do. You can't control the training and the people you spend your time with, and the quality of training partner you have in the fight itself. So just kind of maintaining that focus on what you can control, and just kind of laughing about the things you can't. The stress that comes with trying to control everything, or force something, or taking the preposterous too seriously, it'll destroy you.
Yeah. So before we started, you said you had recently put out a book and about your martial arts career. You want to talk about that at all?
Yeah, Failing Upward, Death by Ego. I put that out last Christmas, and I kept journals, really day to day, almost weekly journals, all through some of my college and wrestling years, and then when I just began fighting, moved out to California, and I had about 17 years worth of stuff, 15, 17 years in there. So there's a lot of things that changed within the culture of MMA, the culture itself, myself, and growing up and aging, and spending my 20s and stuff doing that fighting. And I thought it'd be good to kind of share those experiences, and then I just kind of wrote reflections on what I went through. I've got a bunch more journals that I have to go through and write more books, but it's supposed to be the first of a series. Mm-hmm. But I've been sidetracked this past year because I bought a new house, and then I started writing another book on weight cutting. Okay. And I'm hoping to have that out in the next 4 to 6 weeks, something like that. Working on the cover right now.
Nice. Well, what are some of the lessons that you've learned over the years?
Um, Man, so like the biggest one is just going on all in on something, you know, like the thing that you're passionate about, um, making it your focus, and then structuring your entire life towards that end and that goal. It was very beneficial for me, and it led to a lot of my success, and will lead to more success as I go. Being able to everything from, you know, what job I worked, who I was around, what times of day or how many days a week I worked, who I spent my time with, you know, when I spent my time with them. All that stuff was dictated first by, is this going to bring me closer to my goal of being the best fighter I can be? So you know, I turned down opportunities that were going to get in the way of that, even if it would have led to you know, more money or position somewhere else, you know, making more money than I was at a fighter at the time. It wasn't something that would have led me down to where my goal was.
So just keep your purpose in mind.
Yeah, keep your purpose in mind. Like, where are you going? Who are you? And it was before I even knew what the term was, but your frame.
Right. Right.
So, like, when I was younger, I was just stubborn. I was referred to as stubborn, but like that was my frame. That was all that mattered. And then I can see where I let things, outside things, matter too much to me. You know, relationships and girls and my place in life and how much money I had. Those things distracted me from the ultimate goal of being the best martial artist I could be. And if I would have kept those things out more, I would have had more success.
Right. Right. So, I mean, are you shifting your focus now? I mean, what are you passionate about now?
Well, I mean, helping people. I've always been a teacher, you know, throughout my wrestling and MMA career. I've always, you know, taught seminars and taught people. So I've been working a lot on self-defense, basic self-defense course. I've been doing them. I had to postpone the one that was supposed to happen this weekend, but I've been starting to do those, and that's just, a lot of people have no idea just even the most basic parts of defending themselves if somebody attacked them. And I focus a lot on this basic self-defense course with the space management, just controlling the distance between you and an attacker, getting away, staying away, that type of stuff. Because like you're not in a fight. You're not going to win a belt.
Yeah.
You're not going to become the world champion because you knocked somebody out who tried to grab your purse. No, you want to make the hardest fight as possible, discourage them from engagement, and get away.
Yeah, and that's the difference between, I think, self-defense and you know, sport fighting or sparring or whatever, is that you know, someone's not going to like feel you out for 5 rounds or whatever. You know, that's not how that works.
No.
When I've taken self-defense courses, yeah, that's always been like, really, you just want to get out. You know, you don't want to. You're not there to fight them. You want to get away.
A predator is just looking for a easy target. You know, the lion tries to bring down the gazelle that's limping or is old or weak or young.
Right.
You know, if you make the fight harder than they want it to be, like, they'll just leave.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Don't be a soft target. Right.
Yeah. Don't be soft.
Yeah. Yeah. Just generally, don't be soft.
Generally, yeah. Always be hard to kill.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, you know, you went to the 21 convention. I mean, what did you think of that?
I thought it was really cool. There's a lot of good guys sharing good stories and good advice on just being better. And like, I came from a good childhood. You know, my dad was around. You know, even you know, I had the same blue pill brainwashing with a lot of stuff that it took a little bit to shake. But you know, I had a pretty good childhood, and it took me a while to realize that a lot of people haven't, and especially the guys who are a little bit younger than me. A lot of them didn't have fathers around, or they had really kind of soy fathers um, who didn't really teach them good behavioral patterns towards being men. They taught them more about they should be better women.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That happens.
So it's knowing that and talking to some people and knowing that that's experiences that some people have. You know, I was just kind of interested in what are some of the options that people can seek out and find people who can you know, learn how to be good at being men.
Right.
Yeah.
So what are some ways that you think you could help them do that?
Well, I think, discipline is one of the toughest things for people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you can master discipline, anything's possible.
Right.
And I think I've mastered discipline, and I've got a lot of good habits that I'm able to stick with. Just, taking myself out of the emotion of a lot of habits that people have can allow you to just be very machine-like with some of your decisions. It's like, this time of day is when I eat, and that's what I do. Even if I have to pack my food and bring it with me somewhere, like, you just have little structures you need to make everything easier. I think my knowledge in self-defense and in combat, I think, will be able to help a lot of guys too. Because you not only should you know how to defend yourself, not only is self-defense a basic human right, you should be able to do that for yourself, but knowing how to do that on some level gives you a lot of confidence. And just that confidence alone is going to help you have more confidence to do a lot of other stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that was one of the other questions I got from readers was, how does, usefulness of, learning martial arts bleed over into the rest of life? I mean, have you noticed that at all?
Yeah. Well, I mean, anytime, in order to do martial arts and practice it a lot and be good at it, you have to be putting yourself into an adversarial position all the time. Like, you have to put yourself in a bad spot. You can't get good at getting out of bad spots unless you put yourself in that bad spot over and over and over and over again. So I think there's an ability to understand that struggle and understand how to push through things, and the kind of the mental toughness it takes to get over adversities, because you're literally putting yourself there every day, and being able to deal with that is something that really is going to benefit you. Going into an office and dealing with a tough situation isn't as bad as somebody squeezing your neck with their crotch. Like, that's a very disheartening position, and you have to learn how to navigate that and get yourself out. I think you're going to be able to handle your problem at work if you can deal with that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, obviously, get comfortable with being uncomfortable kind of thing that everybody says.
Mm-hmm.
So I think yesterday you posted something to your Instagram that said it was a new age of a masculine renaissance.
Yes, masculine renaissance. It was
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. So what do you mean by that?
No, I think it's a perfect time, because we've all been told that we're defective women and we need to be more feminine and get into our feminine side. And there's been a part of me who, it's just what you're supposed to believe. And I think that it's just, we know better. It's I have no feminine side. I don't. I can understand why you have certain positions. I can understand why you're emotional about certain things. But at the end of the day, I'm very rational with my thoughts. I believe you need to be in touch with your feelings, but there's a time and place for you to deal with your feelings. And, you have to identify whether or not you're a leader or you're a follower, but either way, you need to do the shit out of your job. And I don't know, it's just time for a masculine renaissance. There's no reason we can't lift weights, do squats, eat meat, write poetry, play music, build buildings, like make art. Like, we can do it all.
Absolutely. I mean, men always have. That's kind of the deal, right?
Yeah.
Because
it flies in the face of this idea that men are incompetent, this bumbling fool father on sitcoms. Like, let's get rid of them. Let's bring in the masculine renaissance, where dad writes books, plays piano, was a professional fighter. Let's have that sitcom go forward.
Yeah, absolutely. A buddy of mine who's also a fighter has a brand called Savage Gentleman, Josh Tyler, and that's kind of his whole thing. Like, that you can be both, You have to have a savage side, but you have to have some other side too, and maintaining a balance. Because there's an idea, I think a lot of people who aren't comfortable being men tend to think that guys who are comfortable with being men are necessarily bad at all of those things, or hate doing them. You know, like it could be like, oh, you like lifting weights, you must hate art, you know, or, you know, and stuff. And, you know, there's a lot of things that have fed into that over a long period of time, but that's not the case. I mean, all the really, not all, because I mean, there are some just guys who are just thugs, right? And then, but a lot of the really successful martial artists and military guys and so forth that I've met, they're really smart, and they're really interested in philosophy, and they are really interested in art and beauty and things like that. They're not one-trick ponies in that way. They're interesting guys.
Well, it's guys, especially guys who I think who are good at martial arts, they tend to ask why a lot. Okay, so you show them a technique or you show them a movement, and they're like, why does this work?
Right.
What's the point? What's encompassing that? So you end up breaking everything down into the why. Like, why do I feel this way? Why do I think that way? Well, what's the purpose, or what's the goal? What's the next step? What's it lead me to?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, a lot of those guys, they're looking for pure information to a certain thing. You know, it's
seeking truth. Where is the truth?
Yeah.
Truth leads to the choke, or being choked.
Yeah, and if it doesn't, then it's not the truth.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very testable. Yeah, absolutely. So
you can't self-identify something as a submission. Well, I think you should tap to this.
Yeah. You should tap to this because so many other people before you, were tapped to this. But who were some of the men that you looked up to when you were growing up?
Well, I mean, I had a big family. I had a lot of. My dad was like one of 7 children, so I had uncles and cousins, and I think when my grandfather died when I was in my 20s, and we had 22 grandsons on the Fitch side. So my early people that I looked up to were family members and cousins and my dad and that stuff, you know, because like, you know, we live in Indiana, so like I watched them cut wood and cut down trees and like do man shit. So like, you know, they build houses. Like when you needed the plumbing or something done to your house, you called a relative, and they were usually a handyman, or they had some way or skill of knowing how to do that type of stuff. My dad was an engineer, civil engineer, so like he designed all the projects and all the stuff for the house. Spent a lot of weekends landscaping and doing that type of stuff. But then as I got older, it was, you know, mostly football players, because I thought I was going to play professional football the majority of my life. I became a big fan of like middle linebackers. Ray Nitschke, I remember, and God, I can't remember his name, but from the Chicago Bears, middle linebacker, way back from the '86 Bears. But anyways, so like I was football players for a while, and then I got into fighting in college. You know, I had seen MMA and UFC stuff in high school, but I didn't take it seriously as something to do until I met like Tom Erickson at Purdue University. He was my one of my assistant coaches, and he had fought a few times in Brazil, and then he was fighting for Pride in Japan. And I met Mark Coleman and Gary Goodrich. And Mark Coleman was one of the first guys that I was a big fan of, I think. And then Tito Ortiz and Frank Shamrock, I think, early on were guys I really liked watching fight too. But that was, man, back in those days, it was you borrowed VHS tapes from people. Like, yeah, it wasn't like sharing stuff now.
Right. Cool. Yeah, I mean, it's something interesting to me, because I think there's an idea that I've gotten kicked back to me a lot, that men shouldn't have heroes. They should just be original. and they shouldn't be, and I think that's false. I
Yeah,
think,
it's a progression in your life cycle.
yeah,
When you're a little kid, like I see it in my kids, like when they watch a show and there's a superhero or there's some cool character, they say, I want to be him. I'm him. I am him. Right? They say they're that person. I'm Iron Man. I'm the Hulk. That's me. Then as you get a little bit older, you get that teenage years. That's when you're supposed to start saying, I want to be like him. I want to be like those guys. I want to be like Iron Man. I want to be like the Hulk. But then when you become a man, that's when you say, well, I'm me, and I have the attributes of these things that I respect. You're supposed to create yourself into your own hero. So I mean, you're not supposed to have heroes. Well, I mean, it's where are you on your time cycle, and where are you in your life? If you're an adult man, you can see another man that you have has attributes that you also want to encompass into yourself. But it's a I don't know. I think words matter, I guess so. But I don't know. There's ways to play with that to make it mean yes and no either way.
Yeah, it's something I've encountered recently, and something I've been thinking about and writing about a little bit, because I feel like in American culture, there's a little bit of a negative take on the word hero.
Mm-hmm.
And really, and then because I'm a word nerd, then I looked it up and traced back the etymology of it, and it actually comes from a word that means to watch over or protect. And then then it becomes a different thing over time. But I think that if you look at a culture that is a masculine culture, because it was kind of the masculine renaissance for a long time, and then and you walked, right? You walk through the town square, hero.
So a way to
you
survive.
walk through, there's a whole bunch of hero statues and things of great men for men to look up to and to emulate, not necessarily to be. And that's when I was thinking about the other day, is that no matter what, you actually can't be that guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually impossible to be another man. You can only be yourself. So at a certain point of emulation, you're still yourself. And I mean, there's obviously, you get the guys, and I think this is what people react to, is that the guys who are just like straight up copying some guy forever, and kind of in a sad way.
Yeah.
And you see that, and they're,
well, they never get past that. That's that not getting past that teenage pre-man stage where you're trying to be like your hero. You haven't, right. They haven't yet tried to encompass and become their own hero themselves. They haven't internalized what they need to from that other person. They're still, it's a lack of having that rite of passage. I think maybe like we have a generation of men that never grew up. They still do the kids stuff they did when they were teenagers. They haven't put away their toys. Like I try to look back to when, my uncles were around and my dad, and like try to think like what their hobbies were. And they weren't hobbies that they would have had when they were teenagers.
Right.
They had adult man hobbies, whatever they were. Woodworking, hunting, and maybe cards, but there wasn't, like, I think it's weird that we have guys who grow up and now they're fathers and they still have 2 hours of video game time slotted every night so they can play.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess that feeds into what you were saying. The thing about video games that's, I think, unfortunate, aside from being a giant time suck in a lot of people's lives, is that
wasting a lot of time on video games.
Yeah. And I tried to, I think I got a video game console several years ago, because I was like, oh, I want to do this. And I got into one of those role-playing games or whatever, where you have to go around a map for forever. And I logged in like 17 hours on it, like in a weekend. And I'm
nothing.
I
beat Skyrim like 3 different times with the characters. I created a Twitter handle, Fitch Skyrim Tale, and I had like 12,000 or 1,200 to 2,000 followers on that. It was just stuff I tweeted about the game as I was playing it and screenshots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Way
it's
too much time. I wish I would have spent that time reading, because I took a break from reading for like the 7 years I was playing video games.
yeah. And see, that's, you're only going to get so much out of the video games. You
Yeah.
know?
You don't do you after you turn it off, you don't bring any of it with you.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I think that goes back to the idea that you were talking about as far as at a certain point, you want to try and embody the thing instead of just seeing it, like instead of just watching it. And that's, I talk about in the way men actually like vicarious masculinity, where you're just, sitting there like, here's another man doing a thing.
Oh yeah.
Or a character doing a thing and whatever. And instead of trying to go out and do something, like go actually do something physical or become that thing.
I think becoming a father was a big thing that kind of pushed me into it. Just realizing, like, I was playing, I remember like I moved into a new house, so I didn't have time to play video games for a little bit, but I remember getting to a point where things were settled enough where I could get out the console again and set it up, and I'm watching the kid and I'm playing, and like the kid's like arching his neck real hard trying to look over his shoulder and see the screen, and I'm just thinking, I was like, what are you doing? I was like the kid's sitting here, he's gonna watch the screen and his brain's gonna fry. Or like, even if he gets older and I'm just playing and he's watching me play a video game, I was like, what is that showing him? I was like, this is stupid. And I basically just kind of put it down, and I was like, I need to do something better.
No, that's a good point. Yeah, because they're going to model you no matter what you do.
Yeah.
So then that's what Dad did. So I'm just going to play video games.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think the difference is between like a hero and a mentor?
Well, a hero you may never meet.
Yeah.
You may never meet, never converse with.
Good
He's
point.
just somebody who you saw, and you can see through their behaviors, you see a certain set of behaviors you want to emulate.
Yeah.
I mean, I related something similar to our prehistoric ancestors, seeing somebody figure out how to get nutrients out of a stem or a root or something.
Right.
And then you see that and you emulate it, and now you have nutrients also.
Yeah. Well, that's how we learn everything, is actually emulation. I mean, that's how you learn language.
Yeah. That's how we've managed to adapt so quickly, is through being able to copy somebody that we see.
Monkey see, monkey do.
Yep. Cultural appropriation.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it's just interesting to me, because I think that a lot of people, I think you're always looking for guys who are doing something well. Once you, especially, okay, you've done something well and you're accomplished at it, you're still looking for somebody who's doing something well, because you still need to move to the next level. And so I think it's, like, what is, like podcasting, like who's doing that better than I am? I need to like watch what they're doing, or that kind of thing. I mean, there's always someone that you're like, you can pick up a few tips from, but you're not going to be them,
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, what would you say are some of the main problems that you see with younger men, things that they don't get you did?
Oh man. So, well, they're suffering full force of kind of the feminine narrative,
Right?
I guess, and how you're meant to look at everything that happens in the world as, through this kind of feminine perspective, and whether or not it benefits women,
Right?
or benefits the feminine ideals and things, and that's not, I don't know. I don't think that's fair to only look through one lens. I think we need to make sure we're able to look through both sides rationally. Well, I mean, I guess it's counterintuitive to say look rationally through the feminine lens, but
well, exactly. We can't really do that.
You can't really do that. But
yeah,
I just think I think it's important for younger men to know that it's okay to have a masculine viewpoint, and to think this way and not agree with the feminine viewpoint. There's nothing wrong with that. I think it's needed, especially to the way things are today.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you have to. A lot of people I'm talking to right now are interested to see if this is going to be some kind of reset. I mean, what do you think about that? With everything that's going on, are we going to have some things turned down? You know,
It's possible because if the markets do shift and shut down, and we have a hard time, getting back to this type of society where everything is reliant on technology and the government supports, women at a higher level, I think there's going to be definite issues. If we have to farm our own food, if we have to we have to fight off, uh, bands of looters. I think it's definitely going to change how a lot of behavior is done.
well, yeah. I mean, that'd be a real masculine restaurant renaissance if that happens.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I don't know if
Let's
any of
hope
us really want that. But
let's hope
it
it
could
doesn't
happen.
go post-apocalyptic on us. But
Yeah,
no, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to tell what's going to happen, especially after with all this goes down.
yeah,
It
yeah.
really
No one
will
really
depend
knows.
on the how the markets react and how the governments react. We'll see.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's interesting times, and I think this is interesting in that way that people now have real problems. They have to see what actually
Yeah.
is important
Yep.
versus their little Twitter wars or
Hmm.
whatever that motivates them.
I
Yeah,
I haven't heard a single outrage about anybody being misogynistic or any whatever misgendering, or I haven't heard any outrages lately. It's all focused on the virus, so I think it's kind of good.
that's good. I mean, I hope that that's the case. I thought maybe I was just sheltered from it because I have a kind of filter bubble because I don't pay attention
Yeah.
to a lot of that
Mm.
because it just
I
makes me
try
mad.
to
But
I try on my Twitter feed. I try to have enough different points of view just so things will pop up in the timeline a little bit, so I can at least see what's trending or what everybody's talking about. But it seems it's all coverage of the coronavirus at this point.
interesting. It'll be neat to see what people do in a few weeks because I mean they're still going to be, you know,
Yeah,
this isn't going away in a couple weeks.
yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what shifts and what people want to see because at some point they're going to get tired of hearing about it.
Mhm.
I mean, like how many things can you read about washing your hands until
Yeah.
you get to the next thing?
Well, it's a great
Right.
opportunity for creators to get themselves seen by new people.
Yeah. There's literally a captive audience.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a captive audience, and there's a lot of time to create. I mean, I'm kind of lucky. I mean, I work from home, and
yeah.
anyway, so I'm not
It's all
really
kind of the same to me,
doing anything.
except the kids are
Yeah,
around a little bit more.
yeah. So how is that going? What are the challenges of that?
um, well, I mean, they're good. I have to try to, they have a little bit of a writing assignment every day. I had to make them do basic,
Good.
and then the teachers have sent um, homework type stuff, resources. So I'm going to go through that this weekend and print out some stuff and see what's going on because I want to make sure they don't fall behind. But I'm going to spend a lot of time with them, teaching them other stuff. Like I don't know, show them how to check the oil of the truck. Um, maybe if I can take them certain places and show them different things, teach them. I don't know, maybe I can figure out how to teach them how to make a fire or something in the backyard, or we germinated some seeds the other day, so hopefully those will sprout this weekend or soon, and we can plant those and we can work on our garden. But I don't know. I think it might be important to teach some life skills during this time.
Yeah, and I mean it's a teachable moment in terms of like here's why this might be important.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it
Yeah. What sucks is I have split custody, so
right.
like I'm not always in charge of them, and
Yeah.
their mother lives in an apartment building, and I'm that's a little uncomfortable too. So yeah. It's not fun. I'll call and I'll check to make sure that everything's okay. But yeah, it's not a good feeling having your kids, 20-minute drive away.
Right. And so are they allowing you to go back and forth in the,
Yeah, like it's just essential movement is okay. So, dropping the kids off or going to the store, picking up water. I got to fill up one of my water jugs.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. So what are you doing to stay busy, yourself? I saw you're posting a lot of workouts and so forth.
Yeah, I'm trying to post a lot of stuff. I'm trying to book and do a lot of podcasts, doing my own and doing other people's, and then working on some projects. Now that it stopped raining, it's got a little bit sunnier. I have some. I do like little stone sculptures, and I make smoke pieces.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Out of them, the Stones company. So I do a little bit with that, and it's getting nicer out. So I'll play with that a little bit. Play my ukulele.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Just taking it easy.
Yeah, a lot of people are like learning instruments and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, you might as well level up and just don't sit around all day.
Yeah. So you have a podcast too. Do you want to tell people about that?
Yeah, my podcast is Jon Fitch Knows Nothing. I did about a year of live streams of a show I called The Shake Break, which every day I had a protein shake I would have like 9:30, 10 o'clock. So I'd do a live stream as I had my shake, and I'd talk about whatever was topical that day, and people would ask questions. So I ended up turning that into a podcast. It's not every day, but I usually have a guest on. Every once in a while, I'll do one by myself if I just have something I want to talk about. But I'll talk about a wide variety of topics on that. And I also have mixed martial mindset is a MMA show I do with Jason Burmis on Mondays, and I do the Red Pill Smash Brothers is a show I do on. It's a live stream I do on Sunday. I do with Corey Capella. We talk all red pill stuff and manly man stuff on that, and then Fitch and Tinkle Smash Everything is my other podcast I do with the comedian Chris Tinkle. We've done one live show. We're planning on trying to make that a thing where we do more live shows, live recordings.
Right. So like with an audience, like did I see that was at a bar or something? Yeah. Nice.
It was we were up in Sacramento at the Laugh Factory. They have a bar in the front area, and they have the stand-up stuff in the back. So before they went and did their show, we set it up. It's kind of like a test run, and
right.
You can't listen to it because it was a test run and we screwed up the audio. But it was fun. It was it was cool. But yeah, we got to do another one. You can't listen to it.
So do you find that people are tuning in every day for well, not every day, but you said you're doing a lot. There a lot of podcasting. In this time period, might as well, whoever I can reach out to, because I know people are at home, so they're probably bored too. Might as well just call them up and talk. Yeah. I mean, that is actually one of the things I liked about it, because I said I live in a small town, and one of the things I've actually liked about the podcasting thing is I get to talk to a lot of people that I would like to talk to. Yeah. And that's kind of been a plus that I didn't really see going into it. Mm-hmm. I actually get to, have some human interaction, even if it's over Zoom, you know? So that's good. And I think a lot of people, obviously, you're going to need that kind of thing soon. So cool. All right. Well, is there anything that you want people to keep an eye on? Obviously, we just hit all that stuff.
Well, I mean, I have the weight cutting book coming out. We're working on the cover now. Cool. But I mean, it's basically I break down. It's going to be it's mostly designed to be like an ebook, but I'll make it a paperback available too. But it's going to be cheap because it's only like 20 pages. But it's basically I just walk you through what I do to lose 30 pounds in 8 weeks in order to make weight for a fight. Right. So I'll take you from the whole diet that I do down to like what I do week of the fight, and I put the weight back on right afterwards. Yeah, because that's I mean, I've watched a lot of powerlifters do that. Yeah, I've been a bit around powerlifters when they're doing that, and they'll cut like 20 pounds of water in a couple days.
And it's pretty intense. It kind of messes with you a little bit if you don't do it right.
If you're not doing it right, and that's the thing, it shouldn't be all water weight.
Right. Well, that's right.
So
Yeah,
like
that's
6
right, yeah.
days, it's like, 6 weeks of it is at least, strict meal plan, get your meals down, reducing calories to the right amount. And yeah.
I think that's actually, the eating thing is actually a really good way to teach people discipline. It doesn't carry over to everything. There's still plenty of things I'm not disciplined about, but if I'm trying to lose weight, everything goes into my fitness pal and I have it all calculated and I play a little game. It's like a little game every day. Like, okay, I have X amount more calories. What can I eat that fits all my macros and do the whole thing? Once you get used to doing that, it's a very disciplining thing. And you're like, my food doesn't have to taste good. It's fine.
Yeah.
That's okay.
It really doesn't. And it's not that it tastes bad, but like, you don't have to eat like a king every single meal.
Yeah. And people never did. People didn't back in the day. They'd have
they ate the same.
That's why you had holidays, right? You have a holiday because you're having a feast.
Yeah.
You didn't get to have a feast every day.
You eat the same boring shit like every day for years. Like our ancestors, even before like we're that tribal, like those they were eating the same shit. It was the same thing that they killed. It was the same drinks, same berries, same roots. Like there wasn't a large variety. Maybe what, 10 things? That's probably a lot.
Yeah. I mean, that's what you get. Yeah. You can't go to the newest restaurant and every night, that kind of thing.
Get tapas.
Yeah.
I like tapas.
I like tapas too. It's been a while.
But no, like, so yeah, that's the other thing with the diet and the meal plan.
Yeah.
You're staying on that. You're eating right, 90% of the time. Well, then you get cheat meals on the weekend.
Yeah.
And like, it doesn't set you back, and you still get the cheat meals taste better. You end up making better plans around, I'm going to eat whatever the fuck I want to on Saturday night. Like,
right.
You're not going to eat, some shitty microwave food. You're probably going to set up a date or go out to a nice restaurant.
Yeah. You're not going to, eat Hot Pockets. Like, it's my cheat day. I'm going to eat all the Hot Pockets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you end up, you might think that's a good idea, but you'll feel like complete dog shit, and you'll realize how nasty that stuff is.
Yeah. It's not the best. But anyway, I think this is probably good. We'll probably call it a podcast.
Awesome, man.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on. I was looking forward to it.
Thanks for the invite. It was fun.
Yeah.
I'm about halfway through the book. I think I'm enjoying it.
Awesome.
Yeah. Putting it, knowing how to be good at being a man. That's a great way of.
Yeah, people like that.
Putting it. Yeah.
Yeah. I technically I didn't know that I did, but I stole that from an anthropologist. It was like so far between where I wrote the book and when I read. He phrased it that way, and it was just a little piece, and I obviously did a whole essay on it and made sense of it. But actually, Ryan Mickler actually had the guy on his podcast, and he put it up there, and I'm like, what the hell is that? Why is he stealing my stuff? And then I went back and looked at his book that I had in my notes, and I had highlighted that thing, and I was like, oh, damn it. But it's cool. Whoops. Ryan's cool because he likes it too, and everybody liked it, and I really kind of filled it out. He was talking about a specific tribe or something. It was very compact, and I guess I latched onto the phrasing, and it's worked really well.
Well, he was talking about one small tribe. You're talking about the human tribe.
Yeah. I was talking about everything. Yeah. I expanded it to everything, so I'm still taking credit for it. So, but you have to cite your people. But, so awesome. Cool, man. All right. Well, thanks for coming on.
Good talk. Thanks
for having me. Yeah, and to everybody who's watching, stay safe and stay sober.